guys know I love doing these quote pages, so I drew a couple more hanging lanterns from the top of the page, colored those ones in, and then I wrote out the quote and sewed the...
Hi friends, Happy New Year. I have literally been sitting in the bedroom arranging and rearranging my yarn, trying to plan out what yarns I want to go with which projects for my Make 9. So far, I have confirmed 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 out of 9 projects have yarn ready to go. And the problem I'm running into is that I have somehow chosen a majority of my projects are not fingering weight, which is most of my yarn. This is loud. Most of my yarn that is not Red Heart, like Super Saver acrylic, is fingering weight. So there's that. I have to figure out a way around that. So I'm thinking maybe some of these projects that call for DK weight, I might hold a skein double and do like that. Or kind of might want to change some of my projects in my Make 9. I don't want to do that though, because all my Make 9, they're all black designers and I haven't duplicated anybody, which is a big thing I didn't want to do. Like I wanted to have 9 different designers. So I think maybe that's why they call this a challenge. So I'm going to continue figuring this out. I'm probably going to take a break soon to help Lamar with grading some papers. And yeah.
They do all 50 questions. So basically, gonna round like decimal. Do it like that.
So
if they answer 25 questions, I'll give them 2.5.
Okay. So I need to count up the number of questions that they answered.
And just put that at the top.
Put that number at the top. Do I need to circle it?
This shouldn't be the only thing in red.
Oh, this is red. I didn't look at the pen.
That's it.
All right. So I'm going to take a break from my yarn sorting and research. This is going to take forever. Happy New Year, friends. Today is January 1st, and it is the last day of Kwanzaa. And today's principle is Imani, which means faith. Imani seeks to remind us to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Of course, for me, as a Christian, faith also speaks heavily of belief in God and belief in the attention God pays to our lives. This principle always makes me thoughtful. Like, what are the things that I have faith in? what's my relationship to faith? Over this past year, I've definitely had some experiences where my faith in God and how much God cares about my personal day-to-day experience, or what's going on in my life. Over this year, that faith has been questioned. Like, I've questioned that faith. And one of the things that I keep bringing myself back to is where in the Bible it says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is stupid. The whole concept of faith is believing that a thing is, point blank, period. And so whenever I was having these struggles or these, questions within myself, or, does God really care about what's going on? Does God really hear my prayers? I'd have to bring myself back to that and say, I believe that God does. And I know that everyone watching this isn't of the same religion or belief system as I am, and that's okay. The faith that you have in whatever your belief system is or is not, whichever way, whatever that thing is that governs the way that you live your life, the way that you process right from wrong, good from bad, etc. You have to have faith that you are doing the right thing. You know what I mean? But in reference to the way faith is spoken of within the Kwanzaa principle, it's more so believing that our leaders and the people that have raised us and the people that have taught us taught us lessons as we've grown, have good intentions. And I think this principle also puts me in a mindset of like future Kalisha. You know what I mean? Well, no, you don't know what I mean because I didn't say it. It puts me in a mindset of future Kalisha. Down the road, are our future children, Lamar and my future children, going to be able to look back and say, my mother and my father led me in a good direction. As Lamar is a teacher, are his students going to be able to look back and say, Mr. Ryan led me in a good direction? I don't really do much leading in the portrait studio, but as someone who interacts with children on a regular basis or interacts with young adults at work, at church, etc., are people going to be able to look back at their experiences with me and say, Kalisha led me in a good direction? And I think if I keep that thought in mind, it will definitely govern the way that I interact with people in my community, with different individuals that I come in contact with. You think, when this person leaves my presence, or when this experience is over, is this person going to be able to say, I have faith that Kalisha had, my best interest in mind, or that she was wanting to better my life? And I do definitely want people to have that experience, to be able to say that, to be able to look at the ways that I carry myself and the way that I interact with people and be able to say, she wants to make things better for the people around her. These are, just the thoughts that come to my mind when I think about this principle, this Imani principle or faith. I do also think about how people see my community, how people see the Black community, you know, in America. And you only have to like look at, you know, the media, and a lot of times the picture that you get of the Black community is that what good can come out of the Black community, you know what I mean? And I believe that if enough of us decide that we want to change the way that people view Black people, then that change will come. You know, just like, I forgot who the quote is attributed to, the one who said, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." I have to be the change that I want to see in my community. I have to inspire other people to be the changes that we want to see in our community. And I just want our community to be as beautiful and as amazing as I know that it can be. And I want people to see that, because it's one thing to know within yourself that my people are beautiful, but it's a whole different thing for someone outside of that circle to say those people are beautiful. And that's what I want for my community. So here's to 2019 and more implementing the principles of Kwanzaa into our daily lives. This has been a really special experience for me, like talking and sharing these principles with you guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you all that has taken the time out to watch these videos. That has just been an excitement for me, you know, every time I see like a comment that someone leaves on one of these videos, or, you know, your thoughts that you all have about the principles of Kwanzaa. Everybody, like each and every one of you who has shared, you know, what your purpose is, or what ways that you are enacting the principles of cooperative economics or anything like that, like how you're showing unity or how you're embodying unity within your communities. And it has been a pleasure, and I low-key can't wait until next Vlogmas so that we can do this all over again. I don't know, I've just really loved sharing this with you guys. I did want to mention that the way that I have presented Kwanzaa to you all is not complete. So, as with lots of different celebrations, there are traditions that go along with Kwanzaa. Now, I have lit the candles each day, which is, you know, something that is always done. But what's missing from my display, if you will, are a few symbols. Typically whenever you set up like the Kwanzaa table, there are a couple things that are set up alongside the kinara and the candles. There you have crops, and I'm reading this information from the official Kwanzaa website, .org. But it says, Kwanzaa has 7 basic symbols and 2 supplemental ones. Each represents values and concepts reflective of the African culture and contributed to community building and reinforcement. The basic symbols in Swahili and then English are mazao, which is the crops. These are symbolic of African harvest celebrations and the reward of productive and collective labor. So that would be something like, you know, corn, wheat, like different like food crops. beans, rice. Mkeka, the mat. This is symbolic of our tradition and history and therefore the foundation on which we build. And that mat would be something that's placed down on the table and then your kinara would go on top of it. I have a mat that I made and I have no idea where I put it. So whenever I do find it, it's going to go with my kinara. And side note, the last time I had it out, it was sitting under the kinara. So I don't know what past Kalisha did with that mat, but it's somewhere in the house. There's the kinara, which is the candle holder. This is symbolic of our roots, our parent people, and continental Africans. There is Mahindi, which is the corn. This is symbolic of our children and the future which they embody. The Mishuma Saba are the 7 candles. These are symbolic of the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, the matrix and minimum set of values which African people are urged to live by in order to rescue and reconstruct their lives in their own image and according to their own needs. Kikumbe cha Umoja, which is the unity cup. This is symbolic of the foundational principle and the practice of unity, which makes all else possible. Zawadi, the gifts. These are symbolic of the labor and love of parents and the commitments made and kept by the children. The 2 supplemental symbols are the bendera, which is the flag. The colors of the Kwanzaa flag are the colors of the organization us. Black, red, and green. Black for the people, red for their struggle, and green for the future and hope that comes from their struggle. It's based on the colors given by the Honorable Marcus Garvey as the national colors for African people throughout the world. And you can also have a poster of the 7 principles. So those are just some of the, not some, those are all of the other symbols that you would see on a traditional and complete Kwanzaa table or celebration table. I really would love to one day have a space where I can set up that full table with like all of the symbols and everything like that on it. I think that would be a beautiful thing to share with my family. But for now, I will continue celebrating in the way that I can and do and the way that I'm able. So again, thank you so much for sharing this year's Kwanzaa celebration with me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you learned something. So again, Happy New Year. May 2019 be as blessed and beautiful may it be more blessed and more beautiful than you desire. Good night. So I wanted to show you where I've been keeping my Kwanzaa minis. Uh-oh. I've been keeping them right up here, and each mini I've numbered. So you have 1 through 7 all in a neat little row, just hanging out on my bedside table. It's really like a, what do you call this thing? Armoire with like some clothes in it. But since I'm up here, I should show you guys our pictures. So I love taking family pictures. This is, and because Lamar and I's first date was on St. Patrick's Day, we typically do a family picture on St. Patrick's Day instead of like Christmas or something like that, or an anniversary. This is, oh, glare, one of our most recent ones. What am I talking about? This is not recent. This is like 3 years old. It's Kiva and Toot at my old apartment with Christmas lights on them. This is a picture from me and Lamar's not anniversary. I just can't talk tonight. Engagement pictures. Oh, don't drop. This is a picture from our wedding. This is one of our most recent family pictures. Is this the most recent? Yes, this is the most recent. This was last St. Patrick's Day. And then behind there, I've got a big letter R that I found in the Goodwill. I think it was the Goodwill. And I want to put that like on this wall behind our bed, like have a gallery wall. One day I'll get the motivation to do that. But that's what's hanging around up here. I also have these pictures stuck to the front of the armoire. This one is from our first family St. Patrick's Day pictures. This one is from a wedding that Lamar and I shot as the photographers. It was a lot of fun. And this is another picture from our wedding that I just really love that picture. So yeah, that's my Kwanzaa event. And I'm super excited that they are all open and they are all wound because I think I'm going to start this project tonight. And you will hear more about it on the podcast.